Good morning, guys. How are you all doing? Welcome in. Happy Monday. Happy February. Welcome in, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is a new week. We have new levels. It's an exciting time. Big data, big earnings reports this week. I hope you guys are all locked in. We have a lot to go over this morning. What's up, AZ Stocks? Welcome. Good morning, man. Sound Type, good morning. Corey, good morning. Mando, Dave, Meta, good morning, Meta. Freezing Florida. How cold is it? I don't believe you. How cold is it in Florida? I heard something about the lizards. I was watching something about the lizards. Someone sent me something about lizards in Florida. I don't know what's going on. It's cold everywhere. It's freezing here too. But I bet you it's not as cold here, not as cold there as it is here. So I don't feel bad for you. 30 degrees is like summer. That 30 degrees, that's nice. January giveaway, yes, yes, you are right. We have not forgotten, do not worry. We're doing a giveaway. TBD though. It's going to be soon. We're going to be giving away everything from January. Probably we'll do it the first week or second week of February, right? Welcoming, guys. Iguanas, yeah, that's what it is. Iguanas dropping out of trees. It's pretty crazy to see that. Yeah, they'll be all right. Okay. So it's been warm in New York City. I don't know about that. Maybe just this morning. This morning? What are we at 17 degrees? We're feeling a little frisky. 17 degrees. I wouldn't call it warm. I would not call it warm yet, but we are starting to get out of that cold snap, right? Anyways, so a lot to go over this morning. We are not the weatherman. We are the stock man, right? That's what we are. Let's reground ourselves. Let's not forget who we are here, right? Because I'm losing my grounding. And next thing you know, I'm about to start, talking about the weather, right? So levels to talk about. 685 demand below. We'll talk about that major level this morning. We have a lot to go over this morning here in this pie chart. New levels, new week, new month, things to go over, right? We'll go over the QQQ chart. Q's rejected pretty perfectly the level we spoke about on our Friday session. That 628 level, big level of resistance, and the market has sold off since then. And we'll talk about what that means for today's session, right? We sold off into some demand below, and we're going to talk about what it means, right? Where's the next big level here on the QQQ? Okay, we'll go over some other things. We'll go over some stuff on NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA chart, a little bit of drama this morning, some wham-whams this morning on NVIDIA, and a little bit of a reset. I reset everything on NVIDIA, and we're going to talk about NVIDIA with some fresh levels because NVIDIA was my savior. NVIDIA saved my week last week, right? We shorted it under 190, big downside, right? This was our breaking a short downside move, and I longed it over like 192.50 on Friday session, got some upside move. So this saved my week on Thursday and Friday. Now, let's see what we can watch on NVIDIA going forward. I still think this is one to watch out for. AMD especially too. AMD also a big one, but AMD earnings in one day, right? On Tuesday. Right? So we'll talk about that as well. We'll go over Teslita. Tesla, big downside this morning, a little gap to play with. $9 downside move here on Tesla. So it's actually quite interesting to see that this is gapping down pretty aggressively compared to the overall market, right? So we'll go over this chart as well. The Appler, of course, we'll go over Apple, big levels to talk about. We'll go over Meta. Meta, actually interesting as well to talk about. So a lot of things to go over, guys. What I want to do is I want you guys to wake up because I'm the only one with energy this morning. You guys are all sleeping in. We have 800 people here this morning. And out of the 800 people, we have how many likes? We have 181 likes. So we're not doing too well on that, guys. I haven't asked for it in a while. Get the like count up, right? Throw in a subscribe if you guys are not subscribed already because we're here every single morning. Even when we don't want to be, we're here every single morning, right? And that's the reality, and we're here. Okay, so look, and I do want to be here this morning. Let's not change that, right? Today I want to be here, but there are some days, trust me, where the last thing I want to do is yell on YouTube, but I'm there, right? So, econ data earnings report for the week. Let's talk about it. On the econ side. Starting off with Monday's session today, we have PMI manufacturing 9:45. We have ISM manufacturing 10 o'clock. So some big things to watch out for at 9:45 and 10 a.m. today, right? On Tuesday's session, JOLTS at 10 o'clock. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll talk about it as the week progresses. But for today's session, DBD Squire, yes, I will throw that in. I'm going to throw that in. And you guys know this, I will go into YouTube analytics and I will show you everything I made for YouTube for the month of January, and I will pull that right out. I'm not going to tell you I made $200, but I really made 700, right? I'll show you exactly how much I made, and we'll make it work. And like I said, we'll be doing that for all of this year. Okay. So in terms of our data, obviously today's session, 9:45 data, 10 o'clock data. That's what we have this morning here on the docket for today's session. Okay. On the earnings report, right? The earnings report side, look at the scale. Look at the enormity. I don't know what you want to call this, right? Look at this, right? We haven't seen one of these in some time. This to me is in Gunny Trades. Oh my god, that's crazy, man. Gunny Trades, an absolute gentleman, a weapon to be contended with. That is awesome, man. Much appreciated. Yes, that goes right to the giveaway. That goes right back to you guys, Gunny. Thank you for supporting. That's how great of a community we have, man. That's awesome. That is insane. You're giving that right back to these guys. Okay, so that's awesome. That is literally incredible. Thank you, man. Gunny Trades, I think, has single-handedly sponsored like 85% of the giveaway. I think I got to put some of my own money up now. Okay, thank you, man. So Monday session, let's talk about this. Monday, Disney Premarket. So DIS Premarket, that's one to watch out for. We're already seeing that react to. Okay, market's already responded to that one. Besides the Disney today's session, we have PLTR Palantir. Palantir is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting daily charts, because when you look at this chart, you're going to see a massive head and shoulders here on the daily time frame, and we are printing a daily head and shoulders right into. Someone says Brett's becoming a gigolo. Yep, I got a dance for it. So Palantir is printing a massive head and shoulders into 145 key demand, right? And this head and shoulders is so abundantly clear here, right? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. What do we do at this neckline right now, right? We are at the neckline at a critical moment in the stock's quarter, right? Which is obviously the earnings report. Okay, so just be aware of that. I think Palantir is going to be one to watch going into our Tuesday session, right? Obviously today you can't trade Palantir. Palantir's earnings in the after hours, therefore it's not tradable today's session. But we should watch that going into our Tuesday session. Okay, so keep that on the back burner. Palantir daily head and shoulders. Besides that, nothing else really to watch out for on Monday's session. On Tuesday, we have PayPal. Okay, so we have PYPL. We have PEP, we have MRK, Merck, we have PFE, right, Pfizer. On Tuesday's session, we have AMD, we have the AMDer, okay? AMD is a big one to watch out for those tech names. We have SMCI. We have Uber on Enphase 2. ENPH, also interesting, guys. Where's right here? ENPH, interesting. There's been a strong outperformance in ENPH and energy in general. I think we should talk about energy. We're going to talk, if we have time today, or tomorrow, we'll spend some time on energy. XLE, XOM, CVX, right? ENPH, big ones to watch out for. Bitcoin, BTC USD, right? Some things happening on names you don't normally watch, okay? Uber, Google, Eli Lilly, NVO, right? On Wednesday session, we have QCOM, Qualcomm, right? Our chip names are reporting this week, okay? On Thursday, you have to pray for me a little bit. Amazon, AMZN, Iron, Reddit, Roblox, Shell, so some more oil names, and then Friday, a whole bunch of nada. Okay, that's what we have going into our week ahead of us that we need to be aware of, right? Maybe some Under Armour over here. If you're trading Under Armour, you can watch out for that. Toyota TM. That's all we have for our Friday session. Okay, guys, what I want to do is I want to jump into our charts today because we have a lot to go over this morning, and we have only a short amount of time. Okay, let's talk about what's going on here. So, what happened last week? Last week was pretty insane, right? It was very volatile. The ranges were crazy. Every single day we were seeing $3, $4, $5, $6, $10 ranges. Not $10 ranges, but at least like $7 ranges most days, right? You can see, look at the range here. Look at this huge downside day on Thursday session, right? Almost actually a $10 range here on SPY, right? So some pretty aggressive moves last week. Now, let's talk about the most important stuff here. What is last week's highs and last week's lows, right? What are those two levels? Last week's lows, 685, right? So we know this level right here, which is also a key demand to watch out for, is last week's lows. 685 is your most important level on this Monday morning, right? 685. Are we above it or are we below it? Likewise, we have Friday's price action. We have Thursday's price action. We have Wednesday's price action. We have Tuesday's price action and Monday's price action, right? And so if you isolate, hey, where's the high of last week? So we know the low is over here. Where's the high? Well, the high is right over here, right? So the high is this red zone and the low is this green zone. And so we know that we're going into a week with a extreme high and extreme low in terms of our last week session. Now, what does that mean for this week? Well, it means we've been given a large range, right? The large range likely means we are going to be continue to have high volatility, right? Until you see one of these ranges break, right? So what we need to understand this morning is we have big demand below at 685. We don't want to short back into last week's lows. And if you start moving higher, right, in the supply, 698, that's your big supply zone. So I'm resetting everything, right? I'm not talking about anything besides that. I'm just talking about last week's highs and last week's lows. These are the two most important levels. When you have large volatile weeks the week prior, you must take a step back that Monday morning, Tuesday morning, whatever it is, and look at the chart and say, where's the last week's lows and the last week's highs? And if you look more importantly, right, look at the Friday's lows and Friday's highs. Well, Friday's lows is over here at 687, and the Friday's highs is over here somewhere around 694. So the one thing I want to say is 687 is not a huge level to me, right? Because right below 687, we have 685. So this is my big level. But 694, which is that supply from Friday we spoke about, also is the high, conveniently is the high of Friday. So for me, a level to add to my chart this morning is going to be 694, right? And so if I'm doing a proper reset on my chart going into this Monday morning, my levels are as follows. I have demand below here at 685. I have supply above here at 694, and I have supply above here at 698. Those are my three big levels. What I'd be looking for going into this Monday morning, into this week ahead of us, is do we break below 685? If then, bear flag, downside move. Or do we see us begin to break above the Friday's highs, which would be a break in structure, right, for us to move higher back into 698. So that's what I'm expecting going into my Monday morning, right? I'm trading off of the extreme levels, and I'm using last week's lows and last week's highs as my major pivots this week, right? And that, I think, is a very effective approach to watching SPY going into this morning. Now, you may ask one thing, you're going to say, Brett, why is there a dotted line at 691 in your chart? Well, 691 is a level too. It's just not as big of a level as my other levels, right? So for example, I have 691 here. You can see this is clearly a level on Thursday. It's a high over here, some levels over, some reaction over there, right? It's clearly a level to have in your chart. But here's the problem. Ask yourself this. Would you trade off of it, right? Ask yourself this. If you saw a SPY clear above 691 today, would you buy calls? And my answer to that question is, truthfully, no, I wouldn't, right? Because if I were to do that, if I were buying calls right over here at 691, look at what I'm doing. I'm buying calls into the SmackDown spot, right? The WWE SmackDown spot of last week. Why would I be doing that? It makes no sense. So this is a level, but it's not a long, right? Where is a long is there. If that happens, that's a long where I can see some tradable upside here. There's some tradable upside between 694 and 698. That, in my opinion, is really important. So yes, SPY is a little bit confusing this morning, but if you zoom out and you focus on the extreme levels, you can get some clarity, okay? That's what I'm trying to say here. So levels here, 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 and there. That's what we have. Above these highs, upside. Below these lows, downside. That's the most simple pitch to give out, okay? On the ES chart, moving on. Someone said, Brett, what about shorts under 687? Well, same idea, right? If you saw 687 break, look at this. If you see 687 break, it's the same thing as 691. Look at this. 687 breaks down, right, for a move here. Yes, I see it. It's a short, but then look what you're risking. The pre-market low is 686, and the Thursday's low is here at 685. You're risking one of these, right? That's the problem. If you short below these lows, you're risking a grab and an upside move. So it's very important. We understand this is still demand below and this is still supply above. Keep that in mind, right? And the closer you get to those demand zones and the closer you get to those supply zones, the higher the risk there is for a smackdown, right? And so if you want there to be real continuation, you want to see us below 685 or above 694. And if we start to move higher today and do a little bit of this, right, I would go short here, maybe, right? If I see the market rejecting, I would go short there. If we see selling off today and I see us beginning to reclaim above the pre-market level, then I would go long there, right? So again, these ideas that I'm saying, you can inverse them but as long as you respect them, you'll be fine, right? On the ES chart, it's the same thing, guys. What we need to do is you need to understand the one biggest thing is understanding that we are above this. Look at this after hours low yesterday, right? Because you can see on that Sunday session, right, Sunday afternoon, you saw that we sold off on the after hours, and the market has recovered since then. But the question is, where did this sell off into? When you look back at this, it actually sold off into that Friday, the January 1st low or January 2nd low, right? We sold off into some big demand below over here, and the market has recovered. It's bounced up some off that level. And if you look back at what we're doing right now on smaller time frames here, you're going to see that we are above yesterday's lows, right? Which is 69.20. And when I say yesterday's lows, I mean Friday's lows, right? And so when you go back to SPY's chart, just to correlate this over, right? That level, that previous day low is technically here, right? It's right over here. So that ES 69.20 is right over here at Friday's lows, right? And then your 6900 ES level is what? Is right over here at SPY 685, right? And so this is your to correlate this over. This is your ES 6900, right? And so if you want to see aggressive downside moves today, right, some aggression, some continuation, you need to see us beneath this level right here, the ES level, and that would be again that Thursday's lows, which correlates to again on the chart over here that low right there. So if we break beneath 6900 ES, my expectations are a sell into this big demand zone here, which is 68.57, right? So I'm looking for this today for shorts, is if we can get back beneath this for a downside move, right? But the one thing I won't do is I won't be shorting back into this box over here, right? This whole box between 6920 and 6900, right? This whole area over here, this band, is an area I don't want to get involved in with shorts. Why? Because I'm risking some textbook whams, right? Which case we see us break below, it looks like a great short, right? Looks great to me, and then bam, right? That's what you don't want to happen today. Whams are what cause those nasty reversions, right? You don't want to be shorting back into this box. And so if you want to be really smart about it today, you want to be really technical, what you could do is just draw a whole zone here, right? This is your zone that says, hey, don't be a muppet, start shorting back into our demand zone, right? And it's a wide zone, but this is our demand. And the same thing goes for our supply, right? The supply is clearly right here. This is where the supply is in the market today. This is where the resistance is, right? Resistance there, demand there. That's all we have going into our Monday morning, right? We have to be data collectors and see how the market responds, but this, in my opinion, is how to jump into today's session. On the Qs chart, guys, I got to go fast now. We're going way too slow here. So on the Qs chart, you can see same idea, right? You have 615 demand below. 615 is your demand below. We know that's key demand. You can watch out for that, right? We'll make it a green box. We know it's demand. It's actually interesting to see this because when you look at this, right, we are below our Thursday's lows here on Qs, but we are above our Thursday's lows here on SPY. And so it's a very different chart here. We're going into completely different charts. So like I'm saying here, SPY, you don't want to short back into this demand. It's very clear. But Qs, hey, what the hell is going on here? We're just bear flagging into a key level of resistance here at 618. So my opinion here on Qs is we are actually quite bearish this morning, right? As long as we're beneath this red band here. It's very clear, right? It's just very clear. In fact, if you want to short Qs today, you can look for a little bit of a bear flag here. If you see us form a bear flag underneath these lows over here, right there, this is a short, right? So let's watch it. Let's see what happens, right? The Friday's lows and Thursday's lows, if you see it begin to turn in resistance today, see it begin rejecting maybe a little bit of this, maybe the best case scenario on Qs would be this, a little bit of a break above, right? Wham the longs, bam, bam, right? That could be a top watch if you're looking for shorts today here in Qs. This would be a top watch for me, right? But what you don't want to do is you don't want to be short back at a 615, right? So if you're shorting the 618s, 619s, right, for a downside move, and you see a sell-off, right, you want to be taking profit there. Again, you would only short this if we break above and fail back beneath the 619s, right? What you don't want to be doing is say, well, Brett, I traded a wham, right? You said the wham was going to happen, and it did this. This is not a wham. A wham is if we break above and fail back below, right? Under 619 for shorts, that's my top watch today here in Qs. And again, I'm not a Qs trader. I never trade Qs, but if you are trading Qs, that's what I'd be watching, okay? Let's move on. GLD. I want to go over IWM, GLD, and BTC USD. IWM, very briefly, right? Look at this. This is something I want to explain to you guys, right? I told you about shorts on IWM a while ago. I would not short the IWM here right now, right? This is a long on the IWM, right? This is independent from everything else I spoke about. Look at this right here. This is an interesting long spot, right? The IWM is at demand here. Let's see what happens. As long as it's holding this low over here, 256.60, 257, this is a long spot to watch out for. Be careful. IWM may develop a hold here and go back into probably this point, 263 plus, right? If as long as it holds 256 though, if it fails below, then obviously I'm wrong about this. But this to me is a level to watch out for. A resistance, it broke out, it pulls back, upside move. And if you want any thing similar to this, look at BTC USD, right? Look at BTC USD. So that was on the IWM was doing that on the 1 hour time frame. Look at BTC USD. This is bullish here on the IWM, right? Clearly bullish. But on the BTC USD chart, look at the 4 hour daily chart. I would say even the daily chart. Look at this chart right here, guys. Look how clear this chart is. Again, very similar idea here, except larger time frame. I want you guys to watch this, right? Look at this 73,000 level here on BTC USD, right? This is a very big level to watch out for. 73,000 BTC USD. This could be, again, I don't own much Bitcoin. I'm not much of a Bitcoin holder. But when I see something that is a technical setup, I will show it to you, right? This is a technical setup. I will nibble some. I'll buy some Bitcoin, right? I would be buying some Bitcoin here. I'll add to my Bitcoin position here at this 73,000, 70,000 level here on BTC USD. Now, there's some people going around saying this is head and shoulders. Sure, maybe it is, but this to me is a daily time frame break and retest. So I'm watching this as well on the BTC chart. 70,000 BTC would be a strong area to get some exposure in if you wanted to in the long term. Okay, that's just a technical spot. Okay, GLD. Remember we said, guys, GLD, watch out for one thing. We said GLD was going to pull back, and it's funny to see what GLD is pulling back into. It's pulling back into 426. This is the exact level we said this would pull back to, and look at what it's doing. It's actually funny to see this. GLD pulling back to a major demand zone. There's two demand zones to watch here in GLD, right? GLD is 426, big demand, secondary demand 401. So two big demands here in GLD. I think that GLD was a good short last week, right? But obviously this morning, I would no longer want to be short GLD as long as they're holding 426. 426 is a big watch for longs. Okay, you can see 426 is a major inflection point. I would expect the market to hold up here for a little bit as well here. Why don't you chart gold using the futures? I like doing it in GLD because everything I do is on the ETF. It's the same thing, guys, right? It's kind of like asking this question: why choose to watch SPY when you could watch ES, right? Or you could just watch both. That's my view, right? So for me, just to make it simple, I just watch GLD, right? It's the same thing, okay? GLD, obviously, big demand zone here. Guys, let's watch out for that here as well. GLD, huge level of demand, okay? 426 and 401 as your secondary level, right? Let's move on, guys. I want to go over some other things now. We have a lot to go over. Let's talk about NVIDIA. So NVIDIA was nice last week. So NVIDIA, I was able to get some trades here. Mike and I longed it right over here on Friday. Above that, was like right over here, we longed it, right over there. So you got a nice upside move here. And this was just super quick and easy. And it was enough to just make my money and walk away. That's all I did on Friday, right? Made some money, ran away from the market. On Friday session or Thursday session, we shorted under 190. This is a better trade, but I didn't hold it that well. I kind of sold it pretty early here, but this was fine. I was happy to make my recovery on NVIDIA. Now, what can we do now on NVIDIA? Where are the levels here on NVIDIA moving forward? So let's talk about that. The first thing I want to say is go back to last week and look at last week's price action, right? Look at last week's extreme lows, right? Which is 186, and extreme highs, which is 194, right? Those are your big levels to watch out for going forward. So again, 186, 194, 40, right, as your big level, okay? And so that's your big demand below, big supply above. A smaller level here at 190, which you know is important, and that's my bull bear pivot. If we're above 190, I'm focused on longs. If we're below 190, I'm focused on shorts. This is my temperature gauge in the market, right? This right here is my temperature gauge. If you want to see us continue downside move, you want to see us under 186. Under 186, we move back into these lows over here, right? That's where we move back into. If we break beneath 186, my expectations are back into these lows. If we clear above 190, I think that we grind higher into 194, right? Which is your last week's highs, right? So that's all it is today here in NVIDIA. Again, demand, supply, middle ground, right? That's all we have for this week, okay? Let's move on, guys. Let's move on. Let's go over AMD. AMD earnings tomorrow, right? So AMD earnings tomorrow. Obviously, be aware of that. The earnings come out, I think it's pre-market, right? Is AMD pre-market or after hours? That's after hours, guys. It's after hours. So AMD in the after hours tomorrow, just be aware of that. Now, it's actually bouncing off of a key level here. Can you trade it? Probably not, guys. I mean, honestly, probably not. I told you guys this for a while. I said watch the 239 demand bounce. That this is the level we're watching for a long time. And if you look back at what it did last week, it actually gave you pretty good textbook win, right? Break below right here on Friday morning pre-market, reclaimed, ripper, right? So this was a nice trade here. And this, you may not think it's a nice trade, but when you look at this from 239, if it reclaimed, that was like a $6 move here, the upside. $6 upside here, as long as 239 held. Now, the problem this morning here is that we are actually beneath my major long spot. So this is my major long spot, the level I was talking about for weeks on AMD. I said, guys, AMD is going to pull back here for a long time. If AMD pulls back here, it's a long. And we've actually broken beneath my long spot, right? And so this morning on AMD, I do not want to long this until it can get back above this 239. If it can clear back above it, then I can look for re-entry longs back into 250s, right? But as of right now, if it does this today, right, a little of this, right, this is just not a long, right? This is saying, hey, don't long it. This is a long, right? Above these 239s is a long spot. Why is it so important? Because again, look at this, right? Huge level of resistance to watch out for, to contend with, okay? Let's move on. Let's go over some other names, guys. Let's go over some other stuff. The Appler. So Apple chart, let's talk about it. On the Apple chart, my levels are pretty similar to the overall market, right? A lot of my things are the same today, right? Demand below, supply above. If you look at the supply above, it comes in around 261. And if you are wondering like what the hell is going on here, like, what is this? This is earnings, right? So this was a big earnings day here on Apple, and it caused a lot of drama and kind of is funking the way the chart's setting up. So what you should do on this is just go to RTH, right? Go to regular trading hours here, and then now look at the chart. And then look how clear this chart has become, right? We just took all the spaghetti and threw out the window, right? This is the problem when you have those shit earnings where it just doesn't know exactly what it wants to do, is it creates those after hours nonsense and makes it so the chart's impossible to chart. So go to RTH here. When you go to RTH here, regular trading hours, you can see that the level is clearly still the same, right? If we can get back above 261, this is a long. But as of right now, it's not doing that, right? So what do you want to do? You probably want to wait for it to clear above 261. I think, though, this is a very interesting chart, especially if you look at this little head and shoulders over here, the inverse head and shoulders. You can see your left shoulder, your head, and your right shoulder, okay? Someone said, Brett, is that Brett's smoke detector chirping? Man, that's yours, man. That's not mine. I don't even think I have, I'll be honest with you, I don't even think I have a smoke detector. So that's on you, man. That's on you, Rick. You got to check yours. Head and shoulders. So 261 is your inverse head and shoulder level. If we can clear above that, look for upside into 268 today's session. Okay, that's what we have here for today's session. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Big level to watch out for. Okay, I like this a lot. This is a top watch this week. On again, I don't know if it's gonna happen on Monday. Right, we're just all we are data collectors. I'm just talking about ideas. I'm just basically exploring ideas right now. But if we can build above 261, this is a long side move. Okay. If we can't get above 261 and you see us fail below 286, then we're cooked, right? And this chart goes back into lows, right? That's what we have here on this chart, okay? Let's move on. Let's go over some other names. Let's go over Teslita. Tesla's weak, man. Tesla's really weak. Tesla looks dangerous. Tesla does not look very happy. Where is it going, right? I mean, where is it going? Where is it going? Let's what is going on here? Oh, that's why I was wondering what was going on here. So on this chart right now, you can see that your level to contend with is your demand below here at 414, right? You can see that's what it is, guys, on Tesla. You have 414 demand below. And if you just, I want to just reset this because I'm losing my clarity, right? And when you start to lose your clarity, you need to just reset everything, right? You can see demand below 415, right? 415. That's your demand below. Your supply above is the colossal level we've been speaking about for a long time, 450. I have no interest trading Tesla in between this range. I'll just be honest, right? Remember, I think we've been talking about this for a long time. Remember we said when Tesla re-entered this area over here, we said when it cleared above over here, right? We said Tesla is entering the dune zone. It's in the dunes, it's in the sand dunes, right? And we're like, guys, Tesla's in the sand dunes. The problem is it's literally just in the sand dunes. It's in a zombie grind, right? So many levels to contend with between 4 and 5 and 450. These are the dunes. We've been in the dunes for a long time. That's why, if you've noticed, who the hell is trading Tesla? Because Tesla is in the dunes. Nobody knows what's going on here. Once it clears above the dune zone, right? Once we clear below 4 and 5, it's out of the dunes. Above the 450, it's out of the dunes, right? That, in my opinion, is what we need to see for real continuation and get out of this sandbox, right? So that's my expectations here, right? I want to see us back above the 450s, back below the 415s. If you see me trading Tesla in between 415 and 450, if you see me trading anything Tesla with the ticker TSLA in between 415 and 450, you need to tell me. You need to intercept me. Brett, what are you doing, right? Stop doing that. Don't let me do it, right? You shouldn't do. I mean, again, if you see something that I don't see, by all means, right? But for me, where my clarity is, I can see there's just too much consolidation between 450 and 415, right? I want to see us clear this consolidation and get the hell out, right? So again, that's my watch here on the Tesla chart, okay? Let's watch some other things, guys. Let's go over Shmeta. Shmeta, 680 bounce. Again, you guys are probably watching that 680 demand bounce. 742 is resistance, right? We knew that was resistance last week. If you're watching for demand bounce, do not forget 680 demand below. That's all I have here on this chart, right? You can see this chart is actually quite hold on a second. What's going on here? Where's the earnings low here? Earnings low is over here. And so when you run this, yeah, there it is. There she is, right? There it is. So 680 is you can see 38.2 is at 702, right? So we are actually holding that level. But the 61.8 is right over here at 680. So do not forget 680. If that does pull back there, it is a long spot. Guys, that's it from me today. I am done here. We went over a lot of names this morning. It's Monday morning. There's a lot. There's so much to go over. It's impossible to go over everything. But we had a beautiful pre-market here. We have 1,300 here, 1,300 people here pre-market, which is awesome. Thank you all for joining in. I'll see you guys all tomorrow or on live if you're there with us. Have a safe and fun trading session. See you guys later.